In today's video, we're going to be taking a closer look at epic fights between different fighters. On one side, we have the smooth and fast slick fighter. On the other side, we have the opposite, a much bigger guy with formidable strength. Here, we'll take a look at the different instances where slick fighters get owned by angry big guys. So buckle up, as this is going to be one exciting ride. This fight was something that turned out differently than expected. At first glance, you'd think that the taller fighter had a clear advantage, and yep, at first he did. You can see it in how he towers over the smaller guy. But the smaller opponent had a fighting spirit in him, delivering counter throws and even body throws from time to time. Ultimately, these tactics weren't enough. The taller fighter overpowered him and took home the title. This may be one of the most poorly matched fights out there, simply because of the size difference between the two fighters. Here, we have a literal giant for a fighter. Just by looks alone, the smaller fighter doesn't seem to have a chance. It's an absolute circus. Watch what the smaller guy does under the opponent's legs. Despite his small size, this fighter seems to think he's got what it takes. Watch as he gets thrown to the ground, ending the match for good. That must have been painful. This next one was a match between two women. Watch as the two battle it out and give it their all, hoping for victory. As you can see here, they actually took turns holding each other down. The smaller fighter did a great job in neutralizing the attacks of the opponent, giving her a hard time and completely dominating the match. Despite the slick moves of the smaller fighter, she still managed to be wiser in throwing quick attacks, giving her a great win. This fighter stood no chance against his bigger and taller opponent. While he may win against other guys his size, it's a different story when paired with this big guy. In the first few seconds alone, he gets launched to the ground with only one kick and a few punches to the face. Now you can easily imagine the next few minutes of the match. I guess he never really recovered, because for the rest of the fight, he gets completely destroyed by the other guy. This next clip is another match between fighters with clear height differences. Who do you think will take home the prize? Let's wait and see. Right after starting the match, the bigger guy didn't waste any time hitting the smaller fighter's crotch. He was given a warning for this, but a few moments later, he did the same thing, causing a lot of pain to the other fighter. The smaller guy tried to fight back with all his might, perhaps a bit too much, because it ended up with this decision. This guy was the definition of confidence before the start of the match. We have him here talking with the mic about how ready he was to take on his opponent, who clearly towers over him in size. The small fighter took his time hyping the crowd, very excited to start the match. As you can see, the smaller fighter is fast and agile, but his opponent is a massive hulk of a man. The smaller fighter throws some quick punches, but his opponent quickly grabs him and holds him to the ground with ease. This went on throughout the whole match. The next few clips are Sergei Pavlovich's matches. The man is a Russian beast who easily had 13 knockouts in just 17 appearances. Watch as he towers over anyone he fights against. Here we have another fighter going against another smaller fighter. As soon as the match started, the two started striking with swift kicks at one another. Even the smaller guy had some moves to show. The fight quickly transitioned into a ground fight where both fighters would take turns holding each other down. At this point, you can no longer tell who's dominating the match because everything is at a standstill. At one moment, the bigger guy is holding down the other fighter. At some moments, it's the other way around. So who won this fight? Well, see for yourself. In this clip, we see two fighters of similar size, but one of them is clearly much stronger than the other. The smaller fighter tries to land some punches, but his opponent just shrugs them off and lands some powerful strikes of his own. The smaller fighter tries to get away, but his opponent quickly catches up and switches to some wrestling moves. The opponent desperately tried to escape the hold, but his strength wasn't enough to break free from the opponent's punches. This next fight is another clash between between fighters with height and strength differences, and while the smaller fighter did try to fight back, he wasn't able to crack the bigger guy. Kudos to him for trying though. Perhaps next time he should fight against opponents his own size to have a level playing field. Literally. In this next video, we see the same fighter fighting another opponent. This opponent looks like he's in great shape, taking on a much bigger opponent. The smaller fighter appears to have some good moves up his sleeve, but his opponent's sheer size and strength prove too much for him. The bigger fighter grabs him and directs him across the ring like he's a rag doll, cornering him to the side with powerful blows and punches. That's one way to assert your dominance. This next fight is between two MMA fighters. One is obviously bigger than the other, but that didn't stop the smaller one from fighting back. In fact, you can see him taunting his opponent, challenging him to throw more shots at him. He definitely went into the octagon intending to win the title. However, this bigger guy wasn't going to grant him that easily. With just one powerful upper hook, the match came to an end, giving the big guy a deserved win. The opponent tried to get up, but he was too dazed to do so. Better luck next time. We have this clip of a smaller fighter taking on a much bigger opponent in an MMA match. The smaller fighter tries to use his speed and agility to get the upper hand, but his opponent just overpowers him with his taller height and bigger strength. To be fair, the smaller guy did try his best, throwing several powerful shots at the opponent. At one point, he even carried the bigger guy up, throwing him down to the ground. Despite these efforts, he still ended up losing the match. Nice try though. The previous videos show you that size definitely matters in the fighting ring or octagon. It gives the fighter an easy advantage to dominate the whole match. Here's another fight showing exactly this. Now, to be fair, the smaller fighter isn't too bad himself. He certainly has the physicality of a strong fighter, but his opponent was simply bigger. Watch as the small guy taunts his opponent from time to time. Fast forward to the next minutes. He went straight to the ground after taking a powerful punch from the other fighter. So that's all for today's episode, folks. If you enjoyed watching, leave a like and share it with your friends. You can also comment and let us know what you'd like to see from this channel in the future. Also, subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. You'll want to check out our other videos. Stay tuned for more awesomeness. Thanks for watching.